And Mommy E will stand one letter away from another vowel, and if she's one letter away, she will tell that vowel, you say your name. And he will. Because she's close enough, if she needs to get a hold of him, reach over that one head and tell him to do it. Now, if Mommy's not there, that vowel gets to be short and lazy, and that word would have been gr-at. He wanted that word to be gr-ate, so he had to stick a Mommy E right there, close enough to get a hold of that A if need be. Now, that's like thinking about, like if you're playing soldiers or Barbies, you know, the sergeant soldier tells the private soldier what to do, and the private's not going to do it till he's told. Mommy Barbie tells the baby Barbie what to do. That's the kind of thinking that happens back here. And yet he can apply that kind of thinking to navigate his decision-making with unfamiliar text. It's a perfect storm because we're taking what already drives their decision-making on a daily basis, and we're using it to give them a leg up on text they've never even seen before, which is awesome. Now, think about a word like butter. You've got B-U-T-T-E-R. Mommy E can yell or scream all day long. Bottom is her arms are too short to get a hold of the U because she can't reach over those two T's head to make him do what he should, and that's why that U gets to be short and lazy and go, If Mommy were one letter away, though, she could make darn sure she got a hold of that U, and the word would be butter and not butter. Now, what if it's not an E? And I'm going to kind of end with this little wrap-up, but, you know, we have a lot of tricks. You might hear about sparkly E or magic E. Teaching with the brain in mind, you've got good, better, best. It is definitely good to have a hook. Any hook is better than no hook. Best hook is taking advantage of an area in the brain that already functions beautifully and fluidly and applying that to the area that's not quite in the program yet. So we want to keep things real with things kids already use to decide things in their own life. And that means, you know, Mommy, they get what Mommy's going to do to them if she gets a hold of them, and they get what they can do if she's a little too far away to reach. Mommy's got to get out of the house sometimes. So when she has to get out of the house, what she'll do is she'll just put a babysitter in charge, and that babysitter will do just what Mom would if she were there. It will tell that other vowel, you say your name. So boys and girls, if you see any vowel that's one letter away from another vowel, that's a babysitter. And it's going to do exactly what Mom would if she were there. It's going to tell that vowel, you say your name, and it will. Now, that's really critical because the silent E and magic E and all that, that's great if the words are one syllable long with an E at the end. But what about all the rest of the text? What about the vowel? You know, what this really is the anti-brain. Vowel, consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel. If you have a vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, you divide between the two consonants, in which case you have a closed syllable. That is what would then dictate the vowel to be short. However, if you have a vowel, consonant, vowel pattern, you divide after the vowel, in which case you have what we call a long syllable. And in that case, the vowel would be long. Or open syllable, which would be long. So that is backdoor. Or front door. That's the kind of thinking and talking that will just get kids who aren't already with you to be totally lost. Everybody gets what you do when Mom's right there. Everybody gets what happens when Mom's not around. Babysitter's there, still have to do it anyway. So these are the kind of frameworks that are so easy to put in place if you understand the system of the brain and you understand how you can rob the bank and get around those alarm systems. And it really will open up an entirely different world for readers because when you know what's inside the box, it is incredibly easy and actually far more fun to think outside of it. And outside of the box is where they need to be when they're applying that critical thought. Now, I know it's 3:30. I'm going to take 1 minute to tell you one thing that you will immediately find out when you get to your classroom if you start playing with this or tell any other teacher about it. Even teachers might say, well, what about the word have? Okay, have doesn't work. Secret doesn't work. Word should behave. What about the word river? Right? You said, Mommy, E, one letter away, that should be river. So see, then what? So then we're back in the problem where it doesn't do what it's supposed to. Here's what you say to keep it back here. When a learner comes up and tells you it doesn't work, have should be have, and river should be river, so it doesn't work, all you do is say, you're right, honey. Where should you be, though, right now? And he'll say, my seat. Okay, right, but you're not at your seat. You're in the next most likely place I'd expect to find you, which, of course, is right here at my desk. Do you know where the third most likely place is I would go to look for you if you weren't at your seat or at my desk? I bet you guys know. The bathroom, right? Because that's the third most likely place that you like to go. Now, you would never think to just go hop up on the desk of the principal and climb up in his cabinets, right? That would be crazy. You wouldn't do that. Letters are just like you, especially the vowels. They don't just lose their minds and do whatever they want. A's never going to go buh. L's never going to say ss. All they do, and it's usually the vowels that do it, is something they're perfectly able to do anyway. It just might be the next most likely thing, next most likely sound. So what else could A say in the word have? Well, it could say A or A, but it's not supposed to because Mommy E's there. I know, honey, but where are you supposed to be right now? In my seat. Right, so let's just try that other sound you said it could make. Let's see. H, A, V. Surprise, did it work? Yeah, we got the word. What about the word river? What else could I say? Well, could see it, but it's not supposed to because Mommy E's. I know, honey, but again, where are you supposed to be right now? So they get the idea that we don't always behave and letters don't either, but we don't just lose our minds and do random stuff. We do the next most likely thing. And that's why the cool thing is if you know what's in the box, and I did make secrets for anything that happens 5 times or more in text, and then default so that it's not phonicsy, because phonics doesn't work the way the brain works. It's more behaviorally. Why is Johnny acting this way? And if he is, it's probably because of this, because he spent the night with Dad, and Dad lives 40 miles away, so he's tired because they didn't get in until 2 in the morning, and that's why he's mean to me today. It's using the thinking that they already use to drive and navigate their decision making with unfamiliar text. And I do have to be quiet now, but I will say that I did with that 5th grade group, when I was talking to them, I thought their problem in their text was that they didn't have a trigger for how to know if a vowel would be long or short. So I asked them, do you have a trick when you see these big long words, because you've got multiple vowels in these words, do you have a trick to help you know what sound to make for those vowels? Because think about it, if you don't, vowels can make 2 sounds, you got a 3-syllable word, you've got like a crapshoot of sounds to make. And they said, yeah, we have a trick. We try everything until we get the right one. We do the long sound. If it doesn't work, then we do the short sound. And they do that for every single vowel. So I thought they just needed the trick, the babysitter vowel trick. Turns out once I told them the trick and they knew whether it was going to be long or short, then they didn't know their vowel sounds. Then one of the little guys looked at me and says, I don't know what short O says. So we had to back up even further. But giving him those cues meant there was no learning curve, because the cue came first. So when he tried to read it, he went like this first, and then the sound came out, which means the cue brought the sound. He wasn't thinking lip position, tongue position, shape, as in these words. He was using a dramatic action, which was back here, that immediately popped that sound right out of his mouth. So there was no time to have to practice the skill. We could just start using those skills to read and to write, and we cut out all the practice time that usually slows us down and kills those K2 teachers. So I am now going to be quiet, because I think the next person's probably here and ready to speak, but you guys were wonderful. I'm sorry I went so fast. Thank you. Thank you.